All right.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone to
In
today's
Florida
advancement.
has no
Oh,
winter. Sorry.
yes.
I'm
No, no.
I'm loving these
I,
answers.
yeah, I mean sledding is actually. Yes. Welcome. Hi everyone. Welcome to today's advancement tug session featuring Dave Woolley, Lauren Hartman, and Beth Altman. We're really excited to have them speak and to see their work. I'm Ron Eisenstein, and I'm joined here by my wonderful tug co-leaders, Mohammed, Jesse, and Elisa. Whether you're brand new to Tableau or you've been using it for years, you're in the right place. Before we get started, just want to let you know that the raffle will be at the end, so please stay tuned for that. And let's get us started with our very first speaker, Dave and Lauren. So I will stop sharing. I just think this is just brilliant, by the way. Talk about like an impact viz. Nice use of memes.
Absolutely.
It's a language all by itself, right? Okay. Let me get started here with our slide deck. Everybody seeing the slide? If you're not, feel free to let us know.
Drake is coming through loud and clear.
Okay. And the topic, of course, is your viz is great, but I just want the data. Now, you've probably all had the experience where you make a really cool viz, let's say for the chief executive or something, and okay, maybe generational differences, I don't know, something like that. The big boss says, yeah, this is really nice, but can you just give me a spreadsheet? And I think every Tableau user of any number of years is gonna know that story. This is a little different, what we're talking about, which is what if there's actual business purposes, not just the personal preference of one individual. So this is what Lauren and I are going to be talking about. Lauren is our lead reports developer at the University of Alaska Foundation. She's been with us for a few years, worked at our transplant from Nebraska. And I've been at the University of Alaska Foundation for a couple of decades, kicking the can around with Razor's Edge, Banner, Tableau, Crystal Reports, all sorts of other things. You build up quite the scar tissue over a few decades when it comes to your technology. I also serve on the AASP, the Association of Advancement Services Professionals Best Practices Committee for Advancement Technology. I do need to put in a pitch for the AASP group. If you're not familiar with AASP, it's a great organization to check out, specifically if you have an interest in this field, and I hope you all do, why we're all on this Tableau user group. We are looking for members for the Best Practices Committee on Advancement Technology, and it is a really great group to work with. If anybody's interested, please let me know, and we will get in contact with Chris Amherst, our incoming leader. Really smart guy, lots of good people on this group. So that aside, University of Alaska Foundation. Okay, we are nearing the end of our first system-wide comprehensive campaign, 8 years, $200 million was our goal. That might not seem like a lot for most state systems, but given this is our first one at scale, we're actually really proud of this. We're at 210 million right now. We use Razor's Edge NXT since 2019. We have about 150 users, and before 2015, when we got Tableau, we used a combination of exports and Crystal Reports and Crystal Reports Server for various BI dashboards in list needs. And this worked pretty well for the better part of 15 years. We got Tableau in 2015. It was super cool, so pretty, so useful. And we maintained legacy systems like Crystal Reports for a few years when we moved to Blackbaud hosting in 2019. And there were huge trade-offs involved, which started us down the journey that we're going to show you. What's the problem? Lists for business purposes, thank you lists in particular. We need the ability to generate dozens of customized department-specific mergeable lists. So our departments, they thank donors directly. Okay, common thing. But we had gotten rid of some of our tools that were best suited to this. And up until 2019, at our universities, their central advancement offices took care of this function. We had massive rounds of budget cuts and layoffs at the University of Alaska starting in 2019. And so our partners at the university look to the UA Foundation and say, please help us. Okay, well, we know Tableau, you can kind of subscribe to data, but you get it as a PDF or a PNG. You can't subscribe through the email subscriptions to the background data. If you want background data, you have to log in and manually export. This is a time-consuming and expensive process because in order to download data, you can't be on a viewer license. You have to have Explorer or higher. So what can you do? A simple solution, I'm sure most of you know about, is TabCMD. TabCMD is a bunch of, it's a command line. And within that command line tool, you have a bunch of functionality that is not in the user interface of Tableau desktop itself. And so, or Tableau online, Tableau Cloud, sorry, still getting used to that. This works on Mac, PC, Linux, and it's great to a point. You've got all these commands you can use. Here's some examples. If you just want a CSV of your data, you can get that. But if you need a customized list for 50 different users, command line may be a little overwhelming then. So it wasn't a great solution for us. Enter into the picture a tool that Lauren discovered actually on the Tableau community listservs, or command groups rather, discussion groups, Pushmetrics. Some of you may have heard of it. Pushmetrics is a messaging merge tool that lets you merge data from your Tableau reports to email, to Slack, to FTP, and a few other things. We liked this Pushmetrics tool almost immediately because it's great for really technical people and not so technical people. When you set up a workflow in Pushmetrics, you can use raw SQL, you can use JSON. And if you don't know anything about coding, you can use Tableau view as your mail merge parameters. So this is really cool that what's in your Tableau workbook is also your distribution for your reports. And this is the direction that we went with it. So I'll turn it over to Lauren to talk about just what we did.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just talk through the main, as Dave said, our use case for, there was a position that was spending tons of time every week sending out individual email lists to different departments, fiscal officers, things like that at each of the colleges and departments for thanking our donors. And what we came up with, so what enabled this system to even be put in place is a lot of work that had been done several years ago to enter in all of our fund information into our database. So we have these attributes for all of our various funds where
Of course,
it
this
says,
is Razor's Edge.
yes, where it says the various colleges and departments that this fund benefits. And so we created a form that also worked as sort of a permissions form for everyone that needed these to fill out. And then the form was pre-filled with the values from the database, so they choose which ones they want to receive. And then that gets populated into a Google Sheet, which I then published to a Tableau report and then used that Tableau report for the merge. So it automatically gets updated every time someone submits the form. And it could be, so there's 3 different fields that I use: the college, department, and then I can even narrow it down to a specific fund if someone just wants to receive one fund. And so in you can go back to that. Oh, sorry. Okay. So when so there's 2 different types of reports in PitchMetrics. There's a simple one if you just want to send one report to one person, or the mail merge report where you first select the mail list, which is that Tableau view from the Google Sheet, and then you can use the columns from that to use them as variables within the mail message here. So you can see there's variables for email address, so it pulls that in for the email, and then part of the subject line is the department that belongs to them, pulling from that list. And you go ahead to the next one, and then to set up the filters, it's super easy. You just click on that add filter button, and then I just say, if it matches, if the gift list attributes match the mailing attributes, then it sends them an email with the gifts that they need as an Excel attachment.
So here's what that filter actually looks like when you click that add filter button. And again, it's going to the 2 data sources we have, the Razor's Edge data and the Google Sheet data, the Google Form, Google Sheet data. And this is what ties them together. And the result is a merged email, just like this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so you can also add in variables to the name of the file as well. So I just say that today's date, whatever the date is that it automatically sends, and then it also has the department or college within the file name as well of the attachment. And then the body of the text here is just what our donor relations staff has come up with as a guide, because to try to manage, there's so many people throughout the university that think they're donors. And so this is a way for them to try to provide some guidelines for that.
This is a this is a mid-grade complexity project, what we just did here. And you can get way more complex.
Mm-hmm. And this is just a second example of how we use this that we started using recently. And this one, we are able to use just what's in our database. We don't need to have a separate form or a Google Sheet, because our Fund and Gift Services staff does a wonderful job of maintaining what we call fund contacts. So any internal employees that need to be notified, so the signature authorities for the fund, people that spend the money, all that is all within our database connected to the fund records. So we just publish a separate report that pulls in each of those positions. And then as you can see here, one line represents one email. So then we have another report that lists all of our balances for each fund, and then it will match up with all of these funds listed here, and it'll just be one spreadsheet with everything that position is responsible for.
So you can do multiple one person to multiple funds or multiple people to the same fund. This is all in our fundraising data. This is all in Razor's Edge. There's no external data sources necessary. Everything we're doing is captured in the database, and we build Tableau views for what we want to do, and then push metrics goes to those Tableau views and filters for the final product. The tool push metrics is, we use it primarily for email. It does have some other superpowers that you might be interested in. If you're a Slack institution, it's especially worthwhile, as a lot of you know. Both Slack and Tableau are owned by Salesforce. And so there's some attention to making those two products kind of integrate with each other. I think push metrics actually does it better. And one cool thing that you can do in push metrics is not just sending your Tableau reports as a merged message to Slack channels, but you can also, as you know, Slack is partially a command line tool. So you can just type /PM and then your search term for the report you're looking for, and you'll get a drop, or you will get a drop down menu. So if you were to type in /PM appeals, it'll pull up a list of all appeals reports, or with the word appeals in the title. So let's say I did that. Let's say I selected the appeals report I'm looking for, and then I press the send button. In Slack, I get the report I'm looking for. I have not left Slack. I did not go into Tableau to go get this. Slack gets the Tableau report, and then you can, from there, you can, talk about it or whatever. If you do need to go view it, you can go do it. I think it's a slightly better implementation of an idea that it exists without push metrics. You can do something kind of similar to this with just Tableau and Slack, but I think this works a little bit more cleanly, at least in the search part. So that is our question, our main part. Q&A, a couple of obvious ones. Pricing, yes, push metrics does cost money. There is a cheap version and an expensive version. And so the example Lauren was talking about, where we had a university employee that was spending about 5 hours a week doing these filtering lists and then sending them out manually. So that's 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month. This person, we paid them about $30 in salary and benefits. So that's $600 a month we were spending just on that one function. Even the expensive version of push metrics is $4.99 a month. So just on this one function that we demonstrated, we were saving money. We use push metrics for about a dozen projects. So it's well worth our money. Your mileage may vary, of course. Security, you'd want to check out the push metrics security page. It is part of the Cloud Security Alliance. It is ISO 27000 compliant, PCI compliant. It has a long list of all of its compliances, but you'd want to read it carefully to make sure it's appropriate for your industry, HIPAA, FERPA, all of that. So you'd want to talk with the representative to make sure. Those are the big two questions. If there's anything else, you can throw them out in the chat. We can answer them there. We probably want to be moving along soon to the next part of the agenda, though, but that's what we've got for you today.
Fantastic. That was super cool. I wasn't aware of any of that. So wonderful presentation. There is a desire to create visualizations, and with every situation, there is a need to get that data back out. very elegant solution. Any questions before we move on? Just let people can unmute anything that anyone else has to share.
There were a couple questions that I've been answering along in the chat. Someone asked how long the campaign was, and it was 7 years. And
fantastic.
And
Awesome.
I just, while people are thinking of questions, I had not seen Tab CMD, and I might be following up with questions because it sparked a use case. I'm sure that there are many other people who are in the group whose minds also just got blown and are thinking of all the ways they might be able to apply this functionality.
Tab CMD, it's a great utility. You can do so much with it. I'm dating myself. If you grew up using command line tools, you'll have a flashback to the past, but you do get comfortable with it. I would say it's really great for one-off tasks. Again, we needed to send emails to 50 different individuals with 50 different customized lists, and that was a little overwhelming. But for a lot of people, Tab CMD is a really great and really cool tool.
Wonderful. Thank you again for that fantastic presentation. Our next speaker, Beth Altman. I just want to quickly put a plug in. When I worked at DePaul University, I think probably soon after Beth started, all of my colleagues took a trip to University of Washington because they were the best of the best, and we wanted to learn from them. So a lot of great information was learned there. So you guys are ahead of the curve with everything. So looking forward to this presentation, and congratulations, Beth, for your recent promotion. That is very exciting, and I'll hand it over.
Thank you so much, Ron. We are going to continue reporting from the Pacific Northwest. I am Beth Altman. I am newly the Director of Reporting Services, officially as of Monday. I've been the acting director since, I believe, June. So I'm going to present to you our journey of starting to use Tableau templates. So let's go ahead and dive in. So first, I'm going to talk about our. Hold on a second. There we go. Talk about just give you a brief abbreviated history of Tableau and the University of Washington. We implemented Tableau in 2014 in our suite of report offerings as we began sort of that first foray into data visualization. We're super lucky here at the University of Washington because Tableau headquarters are literally 2 miles down the road from us. Also, our central information technology unit hosts and supports Tableau servers for the entire university, which is a huge cost savings to us. So we're very grateful in that. So I think, as we all know, we've all gone through those beginning courses of how to use Tableau, and we thought at the beginning it's going to be super easy. It's just going to be easy to convert our reports in, but we soon realized we had a really large learning curve, especially into respect of how our data extracts were currently constructed. So we had to create a whole new bunch of data extracts in order to get our reports there. It took us, of course, a few years to find our footing, but today we have a current portfolio of over 80 Tableau reports. Of course, in those early years, we had multiple people across multiple units authoring reports. We had people in annual philanthropy, analytics, prospect development, and of course, here in reporting services. Although all were vetted through reporting services, if people wanted them to be published on our reporting portal, conveniently called Reportal. If you ever want to name anything, please come to us. We will come up with the most unimaginative name possible. So this meant that we got to see a bunch of different ideas that people had for different styles, any layouts that people were using, and immediately it became clear that we probably needed a style guide. One, to keep us in compliance with our marketing department standards, we hope, and 2, to hopefully enforce the consistency across all of our reports. So that brings us to our style guide. So I created this style guide in Word, just hoping that everyone would be able to sort of use this as a reference. As we all know in Tableau, you have to there's tons of formatting pieces that are included. Of course, I talk about the report titles. We actually have this bar that across right below our report titles that is something from marketing. We have our university logo, we using the block W, and then of course have to lay out how the bottom of the report, row and columns, tooltips, grid lines, row banding, and all of the the font you have to use, the size you have to use, the color you have to use. We do happen to have a good color palette, and what maybe other required dashboard items you might have there. So I shared it with everyone who was authoring Tableau reports, hoping that, okay, this is going to be definitive. Reports will start to look similar. They'll start to be more standardized. So let's move to see how our results are. Okay, so here's one example that we came up with. This actually has our block W logo and our University of Washington logo and a big, huge purple across the top. That bar is included, but all the KPIs are kind of centered. Okay. Oh, this just looks like a Excel spreadsheet here. We have borders on all the rows and columns, and there's blue font, not really in our purple and gold color palette. And we move on to a report actually that I created. So I take authorship for this. There's no bar across the bottom. This looks very different than the previous report. We have row banding here, but there's a huge amount of padding in between all of the columns. And we move on. Oh, another big, huge purple bar, very different stylization for our filters, just with the drop-down arrow. And there's actually, oh, there's a big green button. There's padding in between those blocks. Okay. Oh, here's another example entirely. We have the title, we have the bar under the bottom, but I'm pretty sure that font, as we all know so well, we've seen it, that default Tableau workbook font that we've all seen. Plus they added their own logo. So while generally speaking, the colors are the same, you could kind of see that clearly there was items that were not addressed in the style guide, text alignment, multiple unit logos, and it's clearly being interpreted very differently by different people, whether or not they're actually using it at all. So we kind of remained in this space for a number of years as of course, our priorities were shifted more towards converting, migrating, creating new reports in Tableau. We also had a huge comprehensive campaign that was happening at the same time. So the idea of kind of enforcing a universal style kind of just took a backseat for us. So now we're going to fast forward to the year 2020. This means the end of our large comprehensive campaign, which is a 10-year campaign for $6 billion. And we had a challenge to reporting services to produce a comprehensive campaign that would include multiple chapters, is kind of how we defined it, or multiple workbooks, that would include in-depth analysis for the following topics of campaign comparison to our previous campaign, contributions, engagement, constituents, development, and impact. So this, of course, could not be the work of one person alone. So myself and 2 other colleagues on the reporting services team realized, how are we going to do this? So we realized we had to agree upon a specific layout that would span the entire suite of reports, and as a result would provide our users with that sort of consistent look and feel. So now we're going to see what that campaign report looks like. So this is the basic layout for each of the introductory chapters. We all decided that there should be an at-a-glance worksheet for each of those workbooks or chapters. And this would provide sort of the aggregate information for that specific topic here. This first one is contributions. So I'm going to point out here how some of these elements are going to stay the same for each of the dashboards. So first of all, at the top, you have your workbook chapter title with the dashboard title. We have all schools and units there. That's actually a universal filter. So if you happen to select the College of Arts and Sciences, it would filter across all workbooks. Then a little description or instruction is included. We move down to the bottom left. We have our caption area. This caption area might provide definitions. It might provide little footnotes, and that exists on every single one. Then we go up to the top right, excuse me. Top right, we have that hamburger there, which is our report navigation. This actually allows you to move in between all the different workbooks of the report, plus our little information icon. We move down to the bottom right, and we actually have our campaign logo here with the date range of our campaign. And as you can see in the middle, this is sort of our standard layout. We have large KPIs that are included with the label underneath, and each of the row categories are noted. And so as we move to different chapter at a glance, you can see that we have maintained said consistency. So this was another spark in our travels along the line. So we move on to our next stopover as we get closer to our final destination of Tableau Templates. We have a new CRM that is launching this spring. So we now have the task upon reporting services to do a report migration of all of our reports. As our database structure is entirely different, we realize that we cannot just plug and play on what we've already created. We need to not only build all of our data extracts, we also need to rebuild all of our workbooks. So at this time, I actually attended a seminar by Interworks that was actually about templates. In the presentation, they presented a template workbook with multiple dashboard layouts. Everyone could start from the exact same place. You just take this template workbook and start building your own report. I presented the idea to the boss. Boss said, go for it. And now let's go to our final destination of Tableau Templates. So this is just sort of our first. I'm going to start here. This is the naming convention it's just template number one. So here you have those same four corner elements that we had in our comprehensive campaign report. You have your report title laid out here where you would put your caption. We have our logo is already placed. We also have this report navigation that allows you to move to different related reports. This is already all built in for you. And the real key to this, of course, are these floating text boxes that give you all that specific pieces of information. It's exactly what the item should look like, plus it includes the font, the color, the size, and whether or not it's caps or sentence case, what your alignment should be. And these exist on every single dashboard. And then you get all the colors here that you're supposed to use for any other element that you might use. We all know we use in Tableau formatting. And one place, now you have a placeholder right here to put your worksheet or worksheets. Okay, so that's a start for just one template. Then moving along, what if you have KPIs? Here's a KPI template for you. You could have 5 KPIs across the top, what they should look like. Your number should be here, your label should be there. And then an additional floating text box again with all the information that you might need, including alignment, borders, padding, how many KPIs you should have across the top, and plus all the same text boxes as the previous one. Then say you want to do a comprehensive. This is one where you might have a big number or KPI across the top, and then you might have a simple bar or line chart. So shown there's placeholders for 6 possible blocks like that, with again, floating text box that looks exactly like the box, with all of your laid out information over here about padding, borders, alignment, and so forth. Then what if you need filters? Great. We have one for top filters, placement for placeholders for your worksheets, and then where your filters could go if you have 5 or less. To start here at the right and move over to the left. Again, floating text box, all about filters and their parameters you want to place. What if you have more than 5 filters? We have a right filters template. You move on down here, you can do 1 through 5, 1 through 6, 1 through 10. Again, all of that same information that was on the previous worksheets, still included over here on the side. Now moving on from there, what if you want to have an introductory page? Say maybe you have a universal filter that you want to add. This is already built for you. Now you just have to put your universal filter here. And then we all know that sometimes people like to print reports. All that information is already created here. You already have the images selected, pasted, and plus all of the directions. So you don't have to spend time creating this for every single report. What if you want to add a very simple glossary at the end? Here's another template for you to add your terms, and then it also includes exactly what information you would need to know for that. And then finally, I realized there was probably some pieces of information that were missing within the templates that I included in this just basics one, just in case I wanted to sort of cover all my bases. This includes information about colors over here, where it talks about, you know, all gifts here are in purple, we have grants in gold, plus just some standardized colors for donor types that are selected from our UW web color palette. Plus, it was important, I think, to have a crosstab example in here. I included set example plus all of the information over here about what each element of that crosstab should be. Then there's just sort of some additional information that came to mind that I wanted to make sure to include about borders, padding, colors, background colors, fonts, and also accessibility. So let's go back. So now that I've sort of shown you this, I really want to talk about what the advantages that we have discovered with this. So as we're working through this new CRM, this has been a huge advantage for our team. It has streamlined all of our processes as we're creating all of these new reports or migrating legacy reports, especially the formatting effort has been greatly reduced. So we have saved so much time on our team. Everyone can just take that Tableau template workbook. You could either save as to create your own, start anew, or you could just copy one of the dashboards if you know that's all you're going to use, paste it into your workbook, and you have all of that information available to you. There's also been, I've noticed too, that in addition for using templates, illustrating exactly what it should look like and exactly where everything should be laid out, of course, is much easier to follow and much easier to standardize than just explaining it as we did in the Word style guide. Now we have a consistent UI that will span across all of our authors, all of our workbooks, all of our worksheets. Everyone will know where to find things. Users are always presented with that familiar layout. They know where to look for report navigation. They know where to look for definitions. They're always going to see the same exact presentation. So now I'm finally going to leave you with, and I want to apologize for this in advance, a very, very bastardized quote from Shakespeare. Apologies to all English majors and Shakespeare lovers. This is just for you and your team to ask yourself whether or not it's worth the time and effort to create your own internal Tableau template. So we'll go here to any questions.
Okay, I love the ending with the dog.
Thank you.
we have a couple of questions.
She's obviously, that's my dog. So I had to show her.
Absolutely adorable. I think we have a few questions.
Okay.
This one is from Elisa. Is this published on Tableau Public, or Elisa, if you want to?
Yeah, that was the whole question.
It is
There you
not
go.
yet.
Excellent.
Well, if you ever get the chance to run it through all of the approvals to share it anywhere, let me know, and I would love to grab it and check it out, because we
Oh,
also
that'd be awesome. So here's the question. So when someone uses this template, what do they do with the template information on the right? Since that's off the dashboard, those text boxes, when you publish, they don't show up. So they just exist within your workbook, it's actually fabulous also just for noting, like sometimes when you're working on a dashboard, I might know, well, I still have to do these things. So I'll make this little floating text box off the top that says to do or missing or something like that.
Beth,
Yes.
Mohammed, is the template are published on the server, or you using like internal storage for just for desktop user?
It is internal storage just for desktop users.
And how many backup copies do you have?
Probably not enough, I would say.
We have a question from Jake. How do you enforce using the template among people who aren't necessarily direct reports? That's a good one.
Oh yeah, well now that I have that power, it's a lot easier actually.
I see. Get promoted. I see.
That is a terrible thing to say, but right now, actually, as we've done with our report migration for our CRM, we've actually consolidated and we're bringing all of report creation within reporting services. So it's actually much easier. And actually, what I've heard from some of my staff is that why would I not use the template? I save so much time. There's a question about how do you get something, oh, somebody answered that. How do you get something to float off the top? So you obviously have to make it a floating text box, but then you have to go and that is corrected the XY coordinates, and you change them to be, so if it's 1000, I usually just change it to be like 1050. So it sits off the side. And I really want to credit my coworker Evie because she was the one who kind of clued us into that. So thanks to Evie.
And I think one more question, how long was training for end users?
Training for end users on, for what exactly? I'm curious.
I'm just guessing it is sort of ramping up folks. Was there like a
on how to use the templates?
Yeah, ramping up. Like how long does it take
Okay.
for people to adopt? I think that's the yeah. The confirmation. Yes, that's it.
Yes. It actually was really no time at all. Because it was just presented as this was right before we had started really working on our reports that we needed to migrate for the CRM. So it actually was just, hey team, this is what we've got, start using this. And it was pretty, we're all very adept Tableau users, so.
All right, and one question for me, getting started, best advice. I mean, people want it from Tableau Public, but what's the number one thing you learned that you would suggest to folks who want to create their own template?
I would say for one, we're lucky here that we had this opportunity for a CRM. It really opened that up, that we knew we had to migrate everything. So that was one that's, because I know if you already have a suite of reports to go back in time and try and refit everything, that's a huge chunk of work that we don't necessarily have to do. So I would say look for those opportunities if you have to migrate, or just as you're starting to create new reports, just sort of put this in place. What's great is you do this as you create new reports, but when I created the templates, I created one, this is great, duplicate, add on, duplicate, add on. And so it just makes things so much easier.
I'll take the last question, Beth.
Yes.
How large is the team that adapted this template? How like the developers team?
That was actually, so it was just me who created the templates. How many people on reporting services do we have?
Yeah.
We actually currently have 5 people on reporting services. We have 2 vacancies.
But you also have other Tableau users outside of the reporting units that are using that template as well.
All right.
Did you
Any
catch
last
that
questions?
question? Did you catch that question, Beth? Couldn't catch the name who asked that question. Can you ask that question again?
The Tableau public question.
No. Somebody asked a question on the Zoom, and just disappear. I think they were almost a glitch.
Oh, okay. That was actually my boss because I recognize his voice.
Okay,
He was actually pointing out that we do have one other member who was on reporting at the time and has now moved to a different unit, but we still work very closely with her. She is an honorary reporting services member.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Beth. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Dave. This session today was a little bit more than just creating Viz. This is what advancement services all across the industry are dealing with, is solving business challenges, not just laying out dashboard. And I think we learned so much today. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Take it away, Ron.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks again. And go ahead, Elisa.
So it's over to me, and I am going to share my screen. You guys have hung in here for the raffle section. So if you've been to an advancement tug before, we do a tiny Tableau trivia. And the first person to send a direct message to me with the answer to the trivia question will win the grand prize that I don't remember what it is this time. Maybe Ron will let you know. In the past, it's been something along the lines of a gift certificate to the Tableau public store or something like that. So this is a demo question, and I'm actually going to start you off with a bonus fun fact demonstrating how to make your documentation text box float over off to the side of the Viz. So all I've done here is made a text box, made it floating, and dragged it out. I made a border so that it's easier for you guys to see it. And then we'll edit the XY coordinates directly to move it over to the side. Let's see, we've got 1000 pixels by 800. So I will pop it over in the X coordinate to, let's say, 1100. Tab over, and ta-da, you've got your documentation text box. So I've heard about that trick, but never pulled it off before, so I'm excited that it worked in front of a live studio audience. And the trivia question for today, get your keyboards ready, is also layout and formatting related. So the question is, say you have the sheet 1 selected, and if you're curious, by the way, the data set is this week's Makeover Monday. I'm not showing you anything that you shouldn't be seeing, and if you want to check out that and other Tableau community challenges, it's a great way to build your skills. Plug over, question start. If you want to select the largest layout container on the dashboard, what is the fastest way to do that? What is the fastest way to select the largest layout container on the dashboard? And while you ponder this, I am going to pass things over to Jessie, who has another Tableau tip. I'll be back at the end of her tip to announce the winner and show you the answer.
Sounds good. So my tip today, hopefully everyone can see my Tableau screen. It's one of those tips that I found on the twins. I don't know their names. The twins stole it from someone else who stole it from someone else. So they all get credit. This is not mine. But one thing I thought was great is if you are making a complicated calculation, you can check pieces of your calculation as you're working. So this is simple data. It's a text April 2021 to December 2021, and I'm trying to make it a date. So what I can do here is if I want to check that my month piece is working, I can, oops, not do that. That didn't work. I can highlight part of the formula and drag it into the text box, and it'll show you the piece that you're working on and make sure that it is calculating correctly. So that is my tiny Tableau tip.
That is cool.
Mine is
Yeah.
the select all paste I did in there. Don't do that.
Yes, yes, yes. Very, very cool. Yeah, that one is huge.
And then we do already have a winner, and it is Noel Ford, and I will demonstrate the solution. So, sharing the workbook again. Say you are in sheet 1 and you want to select the next bigger container. And I didn't time this, so if you suggested another answer, like using the caret on the right or moving your mouse over to the item hierarchy, those are also ways to do it, but this is the fun trick. If you double click on it, it's the next, selects the next one bigger. And if you double click on that again, it selects the largest one on the dashboard. Now, I particularly love this because, as Beth alluded to, with all of the different formatting options in Tableau, there is often sneaky padding, and you cannot find which container the sneaky padding is hidden in. So there's 4 on this one, there's none on this one, but it still seems like there's something in the dashboard. There it is, the sneaky padding, and I can zap it out or make it bigger, you know, depending on your style preferences. So congratulations, Noel.
Very,
And
very
with
cool
that,
tips. Yes. Go
you
ahead.
want to
What was
wrap
the
us
other-
up, Ron?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our special guests. Love the presentation. This is going to be available on YouTube in the next few days. You'll be getting a follow-up. And please save the date, March 15th from 2 to 3 Central. And we have a LinkedIn group that we'd love for you to join. People are posting questions. And please post your questions there. Anyone else has anything, have anything else to add before we say goodbye?
Just a quick reminder again, if you are asking, or if you knew and you're kind of wondering, how do we make this, how do we invite this guest to this presentation? It's really in the RSVP where you can just select one answer to yes, and then we'll reach out to you and we'll have that conversation about the next session. If you missed this last RSVP, you can always reach out to any one of us and we will make that work.
Thank you, Mohammed. And thanks again, everyone. Happy holidays, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one.